Now, I do not know if my producers already told you what we are going to be speaking about next by putting it on the screen, but in case she hasn't, there are two words that I have for you, and maybe that will help you understand what we're going to talk about. Hello, hello. That's the introduction to this Travel Thursday segment. We are talking about the state that has the largest coastline in India, and that indeed is Gujarat. Joining me now is Ivana Perkovic, who recently visited the state and I think who was astounded by everything that she found. Ivana, thank you so much for joining in. Your initial reaction, how did you get to Gujarat? Where were you going from, and where all did you go in the state? It's actually quite a big state.
It's an incredibly big state, and that's actually what surprised me the most. Because if I'm being very honest, before I went on this trip, the stories that I heard from people were not very exciting. Most people would tell me, like, why would you go to that destination? It is a dry state, there's mostly vegetarian food. And there was just not as much excitement around me as people normally have. However, going to Gujarat myself, I am so stoked to introduce this destination because it is everything I love about India. It is a state that is bold in everything, from the traditional attire to the dances, to the natural beauty, the stunning cultural heritage, the arts and crafts, and of course, yummy food. I am vegetarian. If you are vegetarian, Gujarat is an absolute place where you have to go and have all the food. So I think if you're asking me where to go, honestly, there's just too much. I don't think we have time for that today. But there are three destinations that I would 10 recommend, and I feel you absolutely cannot miss out on. The number three would be Rani Ki Vav, which is the step well that is actually featured on the 100 rupee note. Can you believe that? It was just surreal seeing that in real life, and the entry fee is only 40 rupees. Then number two, I would say the Modera Sun Temple. This is a stunning temple with such beautiful, intricate details. And on top of that, you actually also get a huge stepwell, which is also absolutely stunning. The entry fee for this one is only 25 rupees, which is crazy value for money. But the number one destination, which I think Gujarat is also most famous for, is absolutely Rann of Kutch. This salt flat desert is absolutely mesmerizing in pictures, but when you see it in real life, you just can't do anything but stop and stare. And if I can actually give a pro tip on this one, it's to go around sunset time, so around 4 p.m. up to 6:30 p.m., because you will actually get to witness a whole other dimension of Rann of Kutch. I think this is a destination that's not only one of the best places to see in Gujarat, but also definitely in all of India.
Absolutely. Apologies, Ivana, I didn't introduce you. I've gotten so used to speaking to you on a regular basis that I didn't.
True.
In case you haven't listened to Ivana before, Ivana is actually she's Dutch, but she's settled in India and she's been visiting a lot of places. In fact, she's been to many more places in India than I have personally been to, and I'm, well, from India. But the next thing that I would like to ask you is the logistics. How does one plan this? How did you plan it?
So I personally went with Gujarat Tourism, which was an absolute privilege because I got to see Gujarat in the most hassle-free way, I would say, because they took care of all of the logistics. But at the same time, this also enables me to give people the best recommendation in terms of logistics. So I would recommend to fly into Ahmedabad and definitely plan a day or two there, because Gandhi Ashram is something that you absolutely have to see. A beautiful heritage walk through historical Ahmedabad is just, it's amazing. That's all I can say about it. And for the ladies, Ahmedabad is absolutely phenomenal for shopping. Then from Ahmedabad, I would recommend people to rent a car, which also you can very easily arrange on the website of Gujarat Tourism, because they have this section where you can just pick a place, the amount of, well, actually the car that you want to have, and then it will show you the rate for that type of car. I would say it would cost about 7,000 rupees up to 11,000 on average, where you can also cover a distance of 300 kilometers per day, which is more than enough, trust me. Then I think what's also important is, of course, accommodation, because I feel Gujarat is crazy value for money for each budget in terms of accommodation. We have witnessed a beautiful homestay, which is called Kuch Courtyard. And honestly, it was almost like a royal place. They had a beautiful courtyard, but also the rooms were beautifully decorated. And it was only 5,000 rupees per night for a room where a whole family of four people could stay. So that was absolutely surprising also to witness. And then, of course, the prices go up when you also choose a little bit more heritage places. So, for instance, Ran Riders is a place where you can stay actually in a room that's modeled after a traditional Gujarati house, which is round. And there were also mirror ornaments on the wall above the bed. It was just stunning to see. And this accommodation would also cost somewhere between 7,000 up to 11,000 a night. But to be honest, it's a true experience to stay there. And then the final accommodation, which I think is really, really important to mention, especially if you're going to Ran of Kuch, this is Ran Utsav Tent City. It is a massive city, like I mentioned, of tents. And the most amazing thing about this is that it almost feels like you're stepping into a Harry Potter movie because it's a tent from the outside. But then when you step inside, it is a massive room. Like it's not anything less than a regular hotel room. The rates here go from about 4,000 per person per night up to, that's a simple room. And then it goes up to, I would say well, of course, it goes up to 1 lakh for suites. But I think an average room for a family would be around 11K per night. Then, I think that should kind of cover all budgets in terms of accommodation.
So I'm really curious about your experiences in Ran of Kutch, because you seem to have enjoyed that leg of your journey to Gujarat the most. What more in terms of activities did you experience at the Ran?
So at Ran, actually, we also went to Kala Dunga, which is one of the highest points in Kutch. And the funny thing is, of course, the view is stunning. But I also really, really enjoyed meeting the local people there. They're selling a lot of traditional attire, which it's actually very colorful. Gujarat culture is so incredibly bold in terms of colors. So you can actually also do some shopping there. You can buy some beautiful colored scarves with mirror work. There was a beautiful man who was performing, was singing on his instrument, and the view obviously was really stunning. You could actually see the coastline of Kutch.
I want to talk about the food, because it's so much more than just dhokla and khandvi, right? It's so much richer than all of that. And I think a lot of us that are used to it in Mumbai, of course, you see a lot of Gujarati food as well. But I think there's a lot more than what we experience here. So could you give us a sense of the flavors that you experienced?
Much, much more. I was also personally surprised because I have a Gujarati friend who is a massive foodie, also actually from Mumbai, and she introduced me to quite a lot of Gujarati food. But then traveling Gujarat, we were on a different location every single day, and I can honestly tell you, every single day I would discover at least 5 to 6 new dishes. And the one that stayed with me the most are, of course, the Gujarati thali, which I got to try in Ahmedabad. A great place to go is actually Gordon Tal, where you get a 26-item dinner Gujarati thali for only 350 rupees. That's crazy value for money, but the food is also super fresh, super hygienic, and absolutely made by love, with love. The beautiful thing is that they actually also have a different set menu every single day. So on the day that we went, I really, really enjoyed Shrikant, which is also something that I would recommend to anyone to try in Gujarat. I fell in love with Shrikant and I have quite a mild obsession with it by now. So on that day, they had a cherry and pineapple Shrikant. And of course, we got to eat jalebi. But the next day, I got to actually try a dish which was khandvi in a vegetable curry. So almost like, how you have gataki sabji in Rajasthan. This was khandvi in sabzi, and it was like dumplings. It was used as dumplings. And I don't think that's something you can eat anywhere else than in Gujarat. And I was super stoked about it because it was absolutely delicious. And then they actually had a sweet, which was fried dough on the outside, golden brown, beautiful, crunchy. And then on the inside, it was a filling of anjeer, so fig and dates. I was so happy that I went back the next day. Wow. Because it was so good. The food was really, really delicious.
I can almost imagine what that tasted like.
Are you drooling?
Thank you so much, Ivana, for taking the time and for telling us about all of these places that you visited. I think the objective of this program is to help people imagine or dream what they would like to see in the world, and I think we've accomplished that today. Thanks once again for taking the time.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of The Money Show. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing it to you. If you'd like to tell us what you think about the program, you can write to us on any one of our social media platforms. If you've got questions for us, you can send us a message on a WhatsApp. The number would have been flashing on your screen. Thanks so much for watching. This is ET.